Hey there, I'm Jill Allen, and this is Find Your Fierce, the show designed for women to discover your fierce, unlock an unstoppable mindset, build unbreakable courage, and completely transform how you show up every single day. Each week, I will bring ideas, methods, and strategies that will inspire you to step into your greatness and live life on purpose. Let's be fit, fierce, and unstoppable.
Hey there, gang. Welcome to Find Your Fierce. I am Jill Allen, and I am so excited that you are here with me as we dive into what's going to be another powerful episode today. We are talking about how there exists this super strong correlation between high achievers and binge eating. And it's often pushed off and hidden with shame. So we're going to explore how to stop binge eating and how binging is not a product of lack of self-discipline, but actually a reflection of putting too much pressure on ourselves. So get ready to feel encouraged about your relationship with food. You'll learn how to break the pattern of binge eating, stress eating, or emotional eating, whatever you want to call it. But before we go any further today, I have to ask, are you needing a speaker for an upcoming event or conference? If so, I am your person. I would love to bring the Find Your Fierce message to your next function. To book your event, message me at jill@jillallencoaching.com. And I love that you're here listening in and spending time with me. So honored that I get to be a part of your day, to be that small voice in your life each week, to be your encourager. You're all just so amazing. And I thank you for your love and support. And as always, I appreciate your feedback, your reviews. And I love that you share this podcast and the Set Free message with your friends and family. So if you could keep on doing that, that would be incredible, because you are helping this movement as it helps reach more women and it impacts more lives. And that is certainly what life is all about. So thank you so much again. Okay, so are you ready? Let's dive in. This week on Find Your Fierce, we're going to get vulnerable. We're going to talk about something often considered taboo and shameful. And my prayer is that by opening up this dialogue, it will remove the stigma and help set you free to pursue healing and hope, if not just for you, for someone you know, as I know thousands, or I should probably say millions of people say they stress eat or emotionally eat, and it sends our overall health into this downward spiral. And so that is why we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how to stop binge eating. And, we're going to break it down a little bit here with what the relationship is between high achievers and binge eating. And while we're at it, what exactly qualifies as a binge? How do these stats relate on how to stop binge eating? The real thing that binge eating disorders are indicators of, and then of course we're going to kind of end with the 5 ways how you can stop binge eating. So, okay, a high achiever. Who are these high achievers? What is it, and how does it relate on how to stop binge eating? And when I think of a high achiever, chances are you are one of them. Many high achievers, they listen to podcasts. They're on a mission to be the best version of themselves. And when I was just starting out coaching people with their mindset and fitness and helping those up level, a question was, who needs this type of coaching? Well, everyone, really, but those that seem to resonate the most with are those who are high achievers. Again, you are probably one of them. Chances are you qualify because you are wanting to improve. So I think of like the perfectionist, a type A go-getter, someone striving, those that have a lot of those external pressures where productivity is evaluated, where you have to look the part or feel like you do. I mean, the ones to be seen, eager to please, on the go, focused, they're disciplined. And I tend to connect with a high achiever because, guys, I am one. I was born competitive. I was driven. I'm wired in a way where personal development was something that I always just loved. The pressure, though, guys, the pressure that comes with it, it is no wonder we fall into binge eating and want to know how to stop it. Okay, so for me, I guess I could say I wanted to stand out, right? Be exceptional, be worth being loved and seen. I was so convinced as an athlete being a standout or performing at the best level that I was capable of meant that my body had to be fit and strong. But my view of an athlete's body at the time was thin, to be skinny, right? I was the little girl who was always like tall and lanky. I had bony knees. I was the one where I would get a lot of comments and praise of, oh, look at that little skinny mini, or you're so thin. I hate you. You can eat anything you want and not gain a pound. And if I wasn't her, then who was I? So fast forward to an adult with 5 kids, physically I bounced back pretty quick. A lot of hard work, before and during and, after pregnancy. But I was the one where people would say, oh my gosh, you don't even look like you have had 5 kids, and my identity or my focus was on my weight, my size, how toned I was or how not toned I was. And so if I was not that fit mom or that fit trainer, who was I? And I kept putting that pressure on myself to look and to act and to perform in a certain way and to get the applause from people that if I didn't do those things, that maybe I would be forgotten or dismissed or undervalued. Okay. So I put my belief and my value on what I was able to do and how physically fit I was, not who I was. Does that make sense? Right? I put everything into the striving or the next big thing and the next training program and all the doing and the more doing and more doing and overloading every aspect of my life to not be average, right? We just want to be seen. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, who are we trying to be seen by? Okay, so we lead such busy, productive, crazy lives that we connect ourselves by default to being seen by what we do, but not for who we are. What we do is not really, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's not really that impressive anyway, right? It's really dull and expected. I mean, it seems basic and obvious, but for us to be seen by how we look and what we do and not for who we truly are at the core, guys, we are missing the most important key. God is the one who sees us. He sees the heart, the inside of us. And we get distracted and miss those that see us because we are so wrapped up in achieving and doing. And the more we excel, the more love we feel. So today, we are going to flip the script. Okay, so let's start. Ask yourself, who are you? And if you start listing all the things that you do versus all that you truly are, guys, that is the first wake-up call that we need. I am calling you out and up today. See yourself differently. Doing is not going to get you seen and noticed. So I want you to detach your value on the things that you do and give yourself permission to remove the value you place on all the things you do and the link to who you are and take the pressure off. Okay, so I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but let's take this kind of back to food, okay? Because all the pressure from being a high achiever often leads to this unhealthy relationship with food. And the tough thing is, we need food. We need food to survive. So finding a balance with food, and if you've ever used food to distract yourself or to fill a void or to comfort you, a way to feel loved, maybe you've experienced this mismatched relationship with food, because here's the thing, we cannot not have food. So if I would binge, I would punish myself with exercise. If I'm being honest, where I would get so upset that I'm so disciplined in every area of my life, except for what I put in my mouth. It was driving me crazy because I was so ultra disciplined, yet I couldn't control the food. Have you ever gone to dinner or a potluck or a party and there was so much good food and you couldn't stop thinking about all the food options? Where you would think that you just would have to have it all, where you would never leave the kitchen island because that is where the food was. And it's like you've never seen food before in your life. So thinking, I remember like going to a birthday party and I was thinking, well, could I just have 1 cupcake? Or, will I eat 3 or 4 or 5, one of every flavor, right? So when I was feeling down or stressed or anxious, I mean, you could find me in the pantry, down in a bag of salt and vinegar chips. And I'm sure some of you heard me joke about it, but guys, it's not a joke. I would eat the entire thing. And let me tell you, it wasn't a snack pack. Or I would eat sleeves of Oreos or the biggest bowls of popcorn that you could ever have. And so I would prove to myself all my inadequacies, all my unworthiness. If I couldn't control food, of course I couldn't deal with the deadlines or the pressures of being a mom of 5 or all the things loaded down on my to-do list. It was just like another excuse. I mean, no wonder. This underlying subconscious message of unworthiness and shame, guys, basically it's just self-sabotage. and we burn the candles at both ends, and the more pressure we put on ourselves, sooner or later, there will be a backlash. Let me say it this way. High achievers and binge eating is not an issue of willpower. It is an issue of exhaustion. And at the end of the day, your willpower is like this battery. It's low. It's exhausted. If we can call it an exhaustion epidemic and get real, 2.8 million Americans have a binge eating disorder. It's the most common food disorder in the United States. I mean, we have to be able to talk about this without shame. Think about it. Shame if you can't control your food intake. Yet there's no shame when you do and you perform and you strive. And guys, there's no shame in that, right? By the world standards, over 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. Guys, we have a problem. And I won't get into the way we mass produce and process our foods. Obviously, that adds to it. But many have a food disorder that needs to be addressed. So if you find yourself thinking about food more than you think you should be, or consumed by food, it is like the biggest red flag ever. So after all that, do you consider yourself a food addict? And an addict is one who goes to something to numb themselves. I would find myself thinking about food constantly. So ever wonder why you start binging mid-afternoon or evening, right? Because you do so good all day long and then by 3 p.m. you crash. Or, well, I ran 6 miles today and you've done so good today so far, so why not? A couple chips won't hurt. And then comes on the guilt. And then we chow down over a serving and maybe we go to 2 or 3 servings. And then it's to the point where who cares? Might as well just keep going. I'll start fresh tomorrow. It's almost like this out-of-body experience, how we're already planning how, you would attack the next day and how many miles you can run. No one talks about this, the cycle and the shame that comes with it, how we continue to eat all the while saying and knowing that we shouldn't be eating it. It's like this back and forth battle. So let's define this a little bit more. What is binge eating? It's the use of food beyond what is pleasurable or intended. It's the overconsumption of food for avoidance or pain relief. And it's the experience of eating beyond comfort or beyond intent and feeling guilt and shame afterward. Basically, it's frequently consuming unusually large amounts of food in one sitting and feeling that eating behavior is out of control. Okay, so that binge eating disorder, BED, it's this severe, life-threatening, treatable eating disorder characterized by recurrent episodes of eating large quantities of food, often very quickly and to the point of discomfort. Okay, so that was the clinical definition. It's this feeling of a loss of control during the binge, experiencing shame, the distress, the guilt afterwards, the unhealthy measures, for example, like purging, so that you can counter the binge eating. Okay, it is the most common eating disorder, again, in the nation. And what is officially a binge? Okay, how do we define a binge? Okay, so the diagnostic manual that helps clinicians treat eating disorders, they previously defined binge eating as eating an amount of food that is definitely larger than most people would eat, right? More than 2,000 calories, more than what you would eat in a day. Okay, so usually about a little bit more than 2,000 calories. But the more current revision to this manual, they define it as eating an abnormally large amount of food, usually between 1,000 and 2,000 calories. Okay, now that is good to know. But ultimately, I feel it is more about the feelings that come after a binge, not so much as the caloric intake. It's the emotions before the binge, what is leading up to it, during the binge, and then the emotions after the binge. The feelings for me are so critical. Okay, so binge eating in high achievers, what does that even look like? Okay, binge eating in high achievers, gosh, guys, it is not about the lack of self-discipline. It's not about willpower. It's not fixed with a diet or intermittent fasting, although we could get results with all of those things, but it's not fixed. And oftentimes, food becomes this escape or a drug or this numbing mechanism, often associated with this immense shame and silence. And if you guys are hanging on to every single word on this, guys, I want you to know that there is help. There are ways that we can combat this. And I want you to get fired up about it because you are not alone. But this binge eating, we try to self-correct it with punishment, restriction, abusive exercise routines, purging, if it goes that far. And the good news here is, if there is good news, it's a heart issue. And I want you to be encouraged because we know what we need to work on. It's our heart and what's in it. There's a void. There's a void somewhere. As much as you guys probably don't want to hear it, there is a void, and it's not so much as the fitness and nutrition tweaks as it is about doing the heart work. Binge eating is an indication of something that is deep and off kilter. And there's exhaustion somewhere, and there's this world of expectations that become too much, and there's this need for an excuse or a safety net for failure. And what binge eating is really an indication of in someone's life, ultimately, it's an indication that something needs to change. Something is terribly jacked up sideways. Like there's this red flag of overwhelm, a red flag of isolation, and like on your ownness mentality, like you feel like you have to battle this alone, or there's this red flag of mismanaged energy and priorities. I mean, think about it. We don't get mad at our phone when it gets a low battery at the end of the day. I mean, we can't be mad at ourselves when we need to be plugged in at night so we can recharge. And when we binge, we give up on ourselves. We give in on being defeated. We throw a pity party and go all in on that. And I know how to throw a pity party, guys. I mean, we feel sorry for our pain and our struggle, and we prove to ourselves that we are this mess that we thought we were. It's self-perpetuating self-pity and self-defeat. So what do we do when things are off kilter? We can start with this. We can get more sleep so we can think clearly, that we're well rested. We could do more things that bring you joy and take the pressure off yourself. Free yourself from the moralization of food. Surround yourself with others that value health and fitness levels. Be vulnerable, be real. Remember that you are brave and capable of doing hard things, and even capable of facing hard emotional situations and fears. For me, being able to talk about it and being free from the way I used to see myself, or to grab a hold of how God sees me. And that goes for you too. You are loved and you can live a joy-filled life. It's okay to just breathe and simplify your life. You can live differently. You can slow down, and you can still achieve just by taking the pressure off. Live and love well. And guys, I don't know about you. I mean, if you're here, I think you could probably agree with this. I just don't want to be successful. I mean, I want to live with significance by how I love. So how can you flip the script today? Okay? I can't love if I'm constantly beating myself up over silly things and binge eating and stay stuck in this cycle. Okay? So let's head into how we can stop binge eating. 1, acknowledge there's a problem. 2, initiate a relationship with food. You are in a relationship with food. Get ready for this healed relationship with food. 3, we can seek support and help. It could be a therapist. It could be a coach. It could be, talking it through with someone. You need third-party help, and it's okay. 4, nurture healthy patterns of renewal. Plug yourself in. Find pockets of ways to add in time for you to breathe, to add joy, or ways to take the pressure off the non-productive time so you're not so exhausted at night. Counteract some of those habits and thought patterns with healthy new habits. And 5, take ownership of how it serves you. Binge eating, eating disorder, call it stress eating, emotional eating. Just stop being a victim. It's not always out of your control. If we are still doing this, reflect, what or how is it serving you? There has to be a reason to find effective ways to manage. Find another way to fill the need, to fill the void. Okay, so let's recap on this quickly. Acknowledge there's a problem. 2, initiate a new relationship with food. 3, seek support and help. 4, nurture healthy patterns of renewal. And 5, take ownership. And let the shame go. Step into the freedom that I know there is for you. No need to be embarrassed, because this is affecting all areas of your life. And I have to add another 5 in here to help you. I guess we can say 10 ways. I didn't even think about this, but I want to add another 5 in. Like, this is the heart work that I was talking about. Okay? Surrender your desires to God. That's number 1. 2, pray for wisdom to turn to Him to fill you when you are empty. And these are probably the most powerful 5. Okay? 3, Break patterns of worship to food and image. Put on worship music and fight your battles with your favorite worship music, your favorite worship songs. Go to war and break the patterns of eating. 4, let yourself feel the emotions and pain that you are avoiding and trust God to step in. I want to remind you that you can do hard things. We have avoidance behaviors. We all do. And just today we were talking about food, but it could be anything. What is it that you are avoiding? But know you can do hard things. And 5, ask yourself daily what you will put first in your life. Is it going to be food or is it going to be God? On the surface, it seems obvious. And I get it. It is a struggle. Know you are not alone, and I'm not ashamed of my struggles. Hopefully it will give you encourage to help others and to get the healing that you need when it comes to food and emotional eating. Another note, guys, self-pressure and self-punishment will keep you stuck in this cycle. Self-compassion is what is needed here. Stop beating yourself up with your avoidance behaviors. Just use it as an invitation to look a little deeper in the journey so you can find peace and joy. I hope this helps you today and that you are fired up to flip the script. Before we wrap this up, have you checked out our brand new Instagram page? It's called Hike, Live, Explore. If you want all the ins and outs when it comes to hiking, getting outdoors, and be the first to know about hiking challenges and retreats, go follow that page. That is Hike, Live, Explore on Instagram. And if you're wanting even more fire in your day, there's so much for you to do so. You can join the Just Breathe Facebook group. Follow my personal Instagram to keep up to date with all that is going on. My new book, Set Fire, is set to release March 27th, so stay connected. In the meantime, though, you can snag a copy of my book, Set Free, on Amazon. Join us in the Fit and Fierce Sisterhood, the upcoming retreats and hiking adventures, or join our Hawaii mission team as we will be serving this June in Kauai. Or maybe you're wanting to do your own road trip. You can hop in our Sprinter van that sleeps up to 5 and hit the open road. Be sure to go to JillAllenCoaching.com for all updates, as we would love to connect with you. Positive connection is so game-changing. Come back next week as we will continue to focus on your nutrition and your health and fitness journey. Another episode that I know that you'll love to help you and encourage you to up-level. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I pray that I filled your heart with joy. If you could let me know before hopping off, that would be incredible. Subscribe, share this episode link on your social media if you felt encouraged or inspired, as we all know someone that can benefit, and I would love it if you would give some feedback and a review as well. Talk with you next time. Be fit, be fierce, be unstoppable. See ya.